The sun hung low over Fort Carson, painting the Colorado plains in golden light. At the edge of the long-range firing range, dust swirled in small whirlwinds as a lone figure moved slowly down the line of targets. She wore faded jeans, a loose flannel shirt tied at the waist, and worn work boots. A wide-brimmed hat shaded her face. In her hands, a stiff broom swept spent shell casings into a metal bin, part janitorial duty, part safety protocol. Every few feet, she paused to check for unspent rounds or debris. To the soldiers practicing at the far end of the range, she was just another civilian worker, someone quiet, efficient, invisible. They called her ma'am out of habit, not respect. Most didn't even know her name. Her name was Evelyn Evie Calloway, 58 years old, widow of a fallen Marine, mother of 2 grown children, and until 3 years ago, the most decorated female sniper in U.S. military history. But no one on base knew that. Not the young lieutenants barking commands, not the grunts struggling to hold their breath during long-distance shots, and certainly not Specialist Jason Reed, the cocky new recruit who had just missed 5 straight shots at 800 meters. "Man, this wind's killing me," he muttered, adjusting his scope. Beside him stood Sergeant First Class Marcus Boone, a seasoned instructor with 20 years in the Army. "You're not letting the wind kill you," Boone said. "You're letting yourself kill you. You're rushing, breathing wrong, focusing on the target, not the trigger." Reed groaned. "I just need more practice." Just then, the woman with the broom passed behind them, sweeping up brass near the berms. Reed glanced back. "Hey, ma'am, mind not making so much noise? I'm trying to concentrate." She didn't answer, just kept sweeping. Reed rolled his eyes. "Seriously? You deaf or something?" Boone shot him a warning look. "Show some respect, Specialist. She's been here longer than you've been alive." Before Reed could reply, a voice came from downrange. A calm, low voice, like gravel wrapped in velvet. "You're holding your cheek too high on the stock." Everyone turned. It was the woman, hat tipped back slightly, revealing sharp gray eyes and a face lined with years of wind and war. "I beg your pardon?" Reed said. "The stock," she said, nodding toward his rifle. "Your cheek weld is off by nearly half an inch. That throws off your eye relief, makes the reticle dance. You're compensating with your shoulder instead of your breath." Reed blinked. "And you know this? How?" She shrugged. "I used to shoot." Boone studied her. Something about her posture, the way she stood, the angle of her shoulders, rang a faint bell, but he couldn't place it. Reed smirked. "Oh, so now we've got experts sweeping the range?" Without a word, the woman set down her broom, walked over, took the rifle from Reed's hands. He started to protest, but Boone raised a hand. "Let her." She shouldered the weapon like it was an extension of her body, checked the scope, adjusted the bipod, laid flat on the dirt without hesitation. Then she fired. One shot. Silence. Downrange. At 900 meters, the steel target spun violently on its hinge. Perfect center mass. No wind call, no calculations out loud, no hesitation, just boom and bullseye. Reed's mouth dropped open. Boone stepped forward. "Who are you?" She lowered the rifle, handed it back. "Just cleaning up after you." Then she picked up her broom and walked away. But before she left earshot, she said, "Next time, breathe out halfway, hold, squeeze, not pull, and stop flinching." Reed looked at Boone. "What was that?" Boone didn't answer, because he'd just recognized her, and if she was who he thought she was, they were all about to learn what real precision looked like. Part 2, The Ghost of Quezon Pass. Back at the barracks, Sergeant Boone pulled out an old file from his personal locker, a leather-bound binder labeled Top Snipers, 1990, present. He flipped past names like Harris, Vance, Cole, then stopped. There she was. Evelyn M. Calloway Service, U.S. Army, 1987-2015. Rank, Master Sergeant confirmed kills, 98. Longest shot, 1,420 meters, Quezon Pass, Afghanistan, 2011. Awards: Silver Star, Bronze Star, X2, Army Commendation Medal, X3. And beneath it, handwritten in red ink by a commanding officer, most accurate female sniper in history. Calm under fire. Never missed a vital shot. Nickname, The Stillness. Boone exhaled slowly. The Stillness. He'd heard the stories, whispered in sniper schools, taught as legend. During the Battle of Khe Sanh Pass, enemy forces had pinned down an entire platoon. Evacuation impossible. Communications jammed. Calloway, then a sergeant, had crawled through enemy lines for 8 hours, dragging her rifle and supplies. Set up at 1,420 meters, beyond effective range for most scopes. Waited 12 hours in freezing cold. Took one shot. Hit a Taliban commander in the temple. The enemy retreated in chaos. She disappeared before medevac arrived. Never claimed credit. Never gave interviews. After 2015, she vanished from records entirely. And now, she was sweeping shells off the range. Boone slammed the binder shut. He needed answers. The next morning, he found Evie at dawn, already at work, checking the berms for debris. "Ma'am," he said respectfully, "can I talk to you?" She paused, leaned on her broom. "You can try." "I saw your file. I know who you are." She didn't react, just kept sweeping. "So?" she asked. "So why are you here? Why are you cleaning up after recruits who don't even know how to breathe right?" She stopped then, looked at him. "Because someone has to," she said simply. "And I'm good at being forgotten." "But you're the Stillness," Boone said. "You trained half the snipers in this division, either directly or through your manuals." She smiled faintly. "I wrote those so others wouldn't have to live what I lived." "What happened?" he asked gently. She stared at the horizon. Too many faces, too many names, too many kids who died because I wasn't fast enough, or accurate enough, or still enough. She tapped her temple. This mind, it remembers every shot, every breath, every life I took to save another. After a while, peace isn't found in honor, it's found in silence. Boone nodded slowly. "I understand." But then he hesitated. What if your silence could teach someone else to survive?" She looked at him. "You want me to train?" "I want you to lead," he said. "These kids need more than drills. They need wisdom, discipline, calm. You've got it all." Evie shook her head. "I'm done leading." But fate had other plans. That afternoon, a crisis unfolded. A lost hiker, civilian, was spotted on a ridge deep in restricted training territory. Armed drones had detected movement. Command assumed hostile infiltrator. Orders came down. Engage on sight. But Boone knew the terrain. That ridge was where families sometimes wandered, unaware of boundaries. He grabbed his radio. "Command, wait! Could be civilian." Too late. Sniper team activated. One shot rang out. Missed. The figure ducked behind rocks. Panic spread. Another shot ordered. But before the trigger could be pulled, a hand closed over the rifle. Everyone turned. It was Evie. She'd walked onto the command post unnoticed. Now she stood between the sniper and the scope. "Lower the weapon," she said, calm but firm. The sniper hesitated. "Ma'am, I have orders." "And I have eyes," she replied. "That's a woman, late 50s, red jacket, holding a walking stick, not a weapon. She's scared, not hostile." "How do you—" "I see what others miss," Evie said, "because I've learned to look beyond the crosshairs." She turned to Boone. "Get a drone with thermal. Confirm non-combatant status. Now." Boone didn't hesitate. He relayed the order. Minutes later, confirmation came. Civilian. Lost, unarmed. Command canceled the strike. The woman was rescued safely. And Evie? She walked back to the range, picked up her broom, like nothing had happened. But everyone had seen it, even Specialist Reed. And when he saw her later that day, he didn't mock her. Instead, he did something no one expected. He handed her a rifle, his own. "Teach me," he said. She looked at the weapon, then at him. and for the first time in years, she smiled. Part 3. The first lesson. Evie didn't accept the rifle that day, but she didn't refuse it either. She looked at Reed. "You really want to learn?" "Yes, ma'am." "Then show me, not with words, with action." "What do you mean?" "Run 5 miles. Tomorrow. 0500, bring your gear. If you show up, we'll talk." Reed swallowed. "Yes, ma'am." At 4:55 the next morning, Evie stood at the edge of the track, thermos in hand. She sipped her coffee, watched the dark sky lighten, and waited. At exactly 05 hour, footsteps pounded the pavement. Reed appeared, red-faced, gasping, but running strong. He stopped in front of her. "Reporting as ordered, ma'am." Evie studied him. Sweat dripped down his temples. His breathing was ragged, but his eyes were determined. "You're late," she said. "By 2 seconds. 2 seconds gets you killed," she interrupted. "In combat, precision isn't just for shooting. It's for everything." She turned and began walking toward the range. Reed followed. She led him to a wooden bench, placed his rifle on it. "First lesson," she said. "You don't need a gun to be a sniper." Reed frowned. "What?" "A sniper isn't defined by the rifle," she said. "He's defined by the mind, the stillness, the ability to see what others ignore." She pointed to a distant target. "Tell me what you see." Reed squinted. "Steel plate, 600 meters, wind flags moving left to right." "Good," she said. "Now tell me what you don't see." He looked again, shook his head. "There's a bird," she said, "on the wire above the third flag, small, brown, perched perfectly still." Reed hadn't noticed. "That bird," Evie continued, "isn't moving because the wind isn't hitting it, which means there's a pocket of calm at that height. Your bullet will rise slightly as it clears that zone. You must adjust." Reed stared. "You saw that?" "I looked," she corrected. "Most people watch. Few people see." She handed him a notebook. "Every morning for the next 30 days, you'll write down 10 things you see that no one else does. Weather patterns, animal behavior, soldier habits, human tells." "What if I can't find 10? "Then you weren't looking hard enough." Over the next weeks, Reed changed. He stopped bragging, stopped rushing, started observing. He brought Boone reports. "Private Jones always checks his left pocket before guard duty. He's hiding a photo." "Wind shifts come 5 minutes after cloud cover thickens." "Sergeant Lowe blinks twice when he's lying." Boone showed them to Evie. She read each one, nodded once. "Second phase begins tomorrow." "What's second phase?" Reed asked. She handed him his rifle. "Shooting," she said. "But only when you earn it." Part 4. The test. The test came without warning. Evie took Reed to a remote section of the range. No targets, no markers, just open desert and rolling hills. "Pick a rock," she said. "Any rock, 1 mile out." Reed scanned the terrain, chose a flat gray stone near a dry creek bed. "That one," he said. Evie nodded. "Hit it." Reed set up his rifle, adjusted the scope, calculated wind, distance, elevation, took a breath. Fired. The shot went wide, by 6 inches. He cursed. Evie didn't react. Again, he fired 4 more times. Closest was 3 inches off. "Stop," she said. He lowered the rifle, frustrated. "I did everything right." "No," she said calmly. "You did everything mechanical. You forgot the human element." "What human element?" "You," she said. "Your heartbeat, your fear, your ego. You rushed the last shot because you wanted to impress me. You flinched." She laid down beside him, took the rifle, didn't adjust anything, waited. 10 seconds, 20. Then, boom. The rock shattered. Reed sat up, stunned. "You didn't recalibrate." "I didn't need to," she said. "I knew my weapon, my body, my breath. I waited for the moment when everything was still, even my thoughts." She looked at him. "Sniping isn't about speed. It's about patience, about becoming part of the earth, invisible, silent, ready." Reed was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "How do you stay still when everything inside wants to move?" Evie smiled, genuinely this time. "You learn to listen to the quiet, because that's where truth lives." From that day on, Reed stopped trying to prove himself. He started trying to understand. And when a surprise field exercise tested all snipers, target acquisition, stress response, judgment under pressure, Reed was the only one to pass all phases. Because when ordered to engage a hostile in a crowded village simulation, he hesitated, spotted the child behind the target, called it off. Commanders were furious until they reviewed the footage. Then they saluted him, and when they asked who taught him to see beyond the scope, he pointed to the woman sweeping the range. She did. Part 5. The Legacy. 6 months later, Fort Carson launched a new program, Stillness Training Initiative. Not about shooting, about seeing, about discipline, about the space between breaths. And at its head, a civilian contractor named Evelyn Calloway. She didn't wear a uniform, didn't accept a medal, but every graduate received a simple patch, a single eye, open, watching. Beneath it, 2 words, see, then act. On graduation day, hundreds gathered, generals attended, news crews filmed. But Evie stood at the back, in the shade, watching. When her name was called, the crowd erupted in applause. She didn't step forward, but Sergeant Boone did. He held up a rifle, old, well cared for. "This belonged to Master Sergeant Evelyn Calloway," he announced. "Used in over 30 missions, responsible for saving hundreds of American lives." He turned to her. "We ask that you accept this honor, not for fame, but for legacy." Evie hesitated, then walked forward, took the rifle, looked down the barrel, like saying goodbye to an old friend. Then she turned and handed it to Specialist Reed. "You'll need it," she said. "But remember, the greatest weapon isn't in your hands." She tapped his chest. "It's in here." And with that, she walked away. No fanfare, no speech, just the soft crunch of boots on gravel. Behind her, a new generation of snipers stood taller, because they'd learned from the quietest warrior of all. And somewhere, on another range, in another state, a young soldier picks up a broom and watches and waits and learns. That true strength isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's the woman no one sees until she speaks and changes everything.